Hello, my marvellous sausages! There is an invincibility glitch in this week's Breakneck mission, and it still hasn't been patched out, and if you want to get solo flawless on your triumphs, this is your chance to do it, because believe me, there's no way in absolute hell I'd ever be able to complete this solo master if it wasn't for this invincibility glitch. Now, shout out first of all, I read about this first of all on Reddit, because I do like to peruse the Reddits, so I'll stick a link in the comment below so you can see the original comment, although this has been around for a little bit of time, but I wanted to bring it to you, my lovely sausage community, to show you exactly what to do to make this work. Now, there's a few things you need to do before we get started, because it's still a very difficult mission just to complete, even with the invincibility. It took me about 45 minutes to complete it, and you only get the invincibility at a certain point, so you need to be able to go flawless for the first part, but believe me, it's not too bad at all. Now, I ran it with my hunter. Hello, looking very sexy there. And in the first section, we've got overload and barrier champions. So you need to take care of those. And you also have unstoppables in the invincible bit. So you do need to worry about them too much, but the ability to stun all three is very important. So I'm just going to talk you through my loadout quickly, what I've got here. I'm just looking at weapons, really. I've gone for my Riptide. Now, this stuns overloads when it slows them, and it also stuns unstoppable when you freeze them and then shatter the freezing, which is very handy. My weapon of choice here is my Le Monarch because it's inherently anti-overload, which is utterly useful, and of course it spreads the poison love. And then finally, a bit of a direct kicking with a linear fusion there, my Taipan 4 FR. I found this combo incredibly useful. And quickly for loadout, well, basically what we're looking here is our shackle grenades, okay, because they can deal with all three champions, because it strings up barrier and also unstoppable. It stuns unstoppables. Now, you can string up overloads, but they don't stop their overloading. It doesn't stun them. But because we've got our Le Monarch, we'll be able to stun them when they're strung up. And then aspects-wise, I've gone for these two, obviously, Ensnaring Slam and Widow Silk. And for fragments, I've gone for Thread of Mind, Thread of Warding, Thread of Continuity, and Thread of Generation. So to get the ball rolling, just start the mission itself from the weekly node on Neomuna, select Master, and pile on in. Now, I'm going to give you some tips about how to begin this mission, because at this point when you start it and you come down to the beginning of the mission area, you're not going to be invulnerable, you're not going to be invincible, so you need to be incredibly careful here, because you can get one shot by practically everything. So in this first area here, we've got Cyclopses who will shoot you from afar with their really annoying void bolts, and you've got hobgoblins as well. So you can see here in this first section, I've already killed one of the Cyclopses, there's another one there to kill here too, and we've got a couple of hobgoblins as well. So the best thing I can tell you to do is hold back, stay as far back as you can, and take your time whilst you're shooting the gits. There's one, shoot him in his juice box. Then once you've cleared those Cyclopses, you're going to jump up into this main area here, and there's loads of Cyclopses down here. You've got 3 in a row here. You can see I'm taking out the one at the back, but just take out targets of opportunity and make sure you're backed off as much as possible, and you've got plenty of cover. There's no rush to do it, because it doesn't really matter how long it takes you to do it. And once you get to the flawless part, I'll show you exactly how to get invincible once we get there. But I think it's important to talk you through this if you're kind of an average player like myself, so just take your time. This is where my Le Monarch came in so incredibly handy. I was just taking the Cyclopses out one at a time. There are also a couple of hobgoblins in here as well, or at least one, so just make sure you watch them, because they'll two-shot you if you're not careful. So just finishing off this Cyclops now, there are 2 more Cyclopses in the doorway there as well, and there's one around the side. Now, you can try and shoot them from here, but sometimes they just go immune and you can't affect them with any damage until they actually activate. So I'm trying my luck on this fellow here, but what you really need to do is go down a bit closer, and that triggers the next spawn in then of the wave of enemies. In that wave, you're going to have an overload champion. Be careful, you need to sort these guys out. This is where the shackle grenades come in, incredibly useful. But once you sort out this Cyclops, make sure you try and take out the ones in the doorways as well. But even if you can't, you're going to have to kill them at some point. You're going to make sure you back off when you can. Don't go into the fray. It's going to be a complete nightmare. So what we got here are loads of Vex, and we've also got an overload a minute or two. I hate them. They storm you. But your shackle grenades and all of your shackle and also your ensnaring slam are the things that are going to save you here. So you want to stun them as much as possible and take out all the ads very quickly as well. Yes, sod off goblins, kick their faces in. Once you take them out first, I'd really advise that, which will just leave you and the overload champion. Just take it a bit at a time to get through this. I tried it with my warlock. I tried this with 3 or 4 different loadouts. This is the one that got me through. So I had 5 or 6 attempts at this area, first of all, before I even got to the flawless part. So it can take a little bit of time, but if you're after the solo flawless, and of course you get a pinnacle as well, this is well worth doing. So I've strung him up for the last time, and I've switched to my Taipan 4FR just to finish the git off. There we go. Excellent. So that's overload done. But don't forget about these Cyclopses in the doorways. And don't get too close, because even though it appears that these bolts travel really slowly, when you're up close, they're incredibly fast and will kill you very quickly. So do these dudes from a distance. Trust me. There we go, second Cyclops taken down. Pick up as much goodies as you can. And now we're going to go into the room in here. And we're going to have a Wyvern. We're going to have a barrier champion as well. And we got another Cyclops. But this is the area you just need to clear in order to get the invincibility. So it's not far at all. So I come into this foyer area here. And you can see the Strandy Melandy stuff. Well, just take stuff out from a distance. Kick them in the face from out here as much as you can. There we go, sort that git out there. And use Strand as much as you can too with your shackles and sort them out. I believe the best thing to do, yes, there we go, switch to the old Taipan and sort them out that way. Come along. Punch them in the juice box again. There we go. There's the barrier down. Now, don't forget as well, we do have a Wyvern in here who can be a bit stressy. So just make sure you back off. Now, I've gone in through, you can go through either doorway. I'm picking the one on the right. You can go on the one on the left, but much the same thing happens. Once you go in here, this is when you cause another spawn-in, and I believe we've also got an overload champion in this spawn-in as well. Let's have a look and see what happens. So here we go around the corner, and here they come again. Lovely. Now I'm backing out basically straight away, because what we want to do is cause a bottleneck. There's the overload as well. I wouldn't go and fight them in that room. There's the Wyvern too. Go back out here, and you've got this little doorway that you can frame them all in and just step left and right to get the cover. It's very, very useful, and I'm using my shackle grenade as much as possible as well. Because you look, I've strung up the Wyvern, and I'm just bringing them all through as they funnel through the little walkway area. You can do them all one at a time, and you don't have the panic of trying to fight for 1,000 different things all around you. I wouldn't have done it if I'd stayed in that room. Coming out here and finishing them off a bit at a time is the way to go, believe me. There we go, strung up, pop your super, you're bound to have it by now. And there we are, they're both dead. What turned out to be an incredibly difficult bit was actually not so bad at all. Now, back in this room here, we still have a couple of gits to kill, or rather just one. There's a big Cyclops up the top. And remember, like I said, it's at close range in here, so once you see the firing, you're practically dead. So I'd stick something on it to wake it up like that, there we go, and then just run away. But also remember, your shackle grenades will stun them, in essence, it'll string them up. So I chuck a shackle here, strings it up, stops it firing, shoot him in his eye until he dies. There we go, 1, boom, 2. That's it. Now that is the most difficult bit of this mission. So you can see it's actually not too bad to do. Just take your time. It's taken me about 8 minutes. I've cut the video down a little bit before we get in. But what we want to do now is just carry on until we get to the radio sonde, which is the next part of the mission. And this is where the invincibility kicks in. Because we're running around to the radio sonde, and once you see it says radio sonde in the bottom left-hand corner there, you can see the Strand Malarkey behind you here. So once Ghost delivers that second line, should we get a closer look, as soon as he says closer look, go back the way you came until you see it saying Liming Harbour or Liming Harbour. So it's not too far. Jump down the hole, jump down into the green bit, and voila, there's Liming Harbour there. Turn around, go back in, and you are now invincible. It's completely brilliant. But massive words of warning. So you're invincible for all the kills and stuff, but if you fall out of bounds, so if you do fall down a massive hole, you will die. So you've got to be careful, because there are opportunities to die in this immediately, like this first bit here. You have to get the strand to open the doorway at the end, but remember, you can't fall down there, you'll die. So you've got to jump from one platform to the other, and then jump across to here as well. banged me mic then, sorry. So there we go. I'm just coming into the first shooty area. Don't forget to stick down your rally banner because you're still going to need to dish out kick-ins. You just can't die, which is totally excellent. And just fight your way through. Look, there we go. Did you see that all shooting me point blank range? No damage at all. It's wonderful. And one final heads up for you. Once you defeat the Tormentors in the Tormentor room, you need to get out before the building explodes and you get sucked off at the end, okay? But there is kind of like a timer on this part of the mission. Now, you can use Strand to help you get out, but what seems to happen is right at the end, when you get sucked out, a lot of people get jammed and stuck in the wall. So you can run this whole thing and get jammed and stuck. So a couple of tips for you. Don't bother with the turrets. They can't kill you. So you are stopping to shoot them will grant you, will eat into your time. So don't do that. That's the first thing. You can see I'm doing it here with all the Scorpius turrets, but there's no need to do that. Secondly, if you do get to the end area, this bit I found particularly tricky. Now, I popped my super here because I'm using my suspend grenades, but I missed it, look. But you do have grapple grenades when you're in your super mode with a hunter, but you might already have grapple anyway with your other characters. But you can jump up here normally too, but it's just quite difficult to get up this high area. That's the first bit that eats into your time. And then the second bit, like I say, you've got to kill, there's a turret down here. You don't need to worry about him. Look, you can just jump straight up through the roof and then down through the floor. There we go. And I got sucked out straight away, and that's where people get stuck. So I've been reading a few comments and things on Reddit about what's been happening with people there. First thing you can do is have a sword. If you do have a sword or you bring a sword with you, a light attack on the sword will get you out of being stuck in the wall. Or if you're a warlock, dropping a well of radiance might get you unstuck out of the wall as well. Or even just popping your super in some way, that might get you unstuck out of the wall too. So those 3 or 4 methods might help you if you do run into that really nasty glitch at the end. Well, anyway, there we go. I got my solo flawless. It's not done. You know what I mean? But bloody hell, I tell you what. When you see how hard, because when you're going through this, you're really going to see how hard this would be not to die doing it. And it's something that I don't think I could ever do. But so really hats off to anybody who could do that difficulty. It really is something special. Well, anyway, there we go. If you enjoyed the vid, give me a like and subscribe and let me know how long it took you to do, or even if you couldn't manage it, or even if you're not going to bother. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall speak to you all again very soon. Sausage out.